Games. Brother Chukudi.
Aleri, will you marry?
Didn't I tell you not to do stuff like this?
Yesterday I was studying about the lost sheep and I was amazed by how the good shepherd did not give up.
Hold it, Chukudi. First off, I am not lost. Secondly, I am not your sheep. And thirdly, you've crossed the line. I warned you. Now you forced me to take a drastic step.
Wait.
Okay, games. As a relationship person, I love every talk or every issue or every discussion around relationship and marriage. So, and I think for me, that's what games represents because it addresses issues in relationship and marriage. You see, miracles. I can call them foster parents because along the line we know who miracles' real father, biological father, is. So, starting from miracles' parents, you see the issues in that marriage, all the hiccups in that marriage, the woman going outside to bring a child that is not the husband's, and that's what we call paternity fraud. I am against it. Is wrong. Is I don't know if I can. I think it's even a sin. Yeah, it's a sin, and so that's also happened in that relationship. We also see the man, what he did, how his mother influenced him to leave his wife, go meet his former girlfriend or the lady they approved of, and we saw how that almost crashed. In fact, crashed the house until God set in. And so we also saw the issue of child sexual abuse, which is a major thing for me if you know me and my story. So you see what Miracle went through right under her parents' nose, right under her father's roof, and even by a trusted friend, which brings me to the issue of child sexual abusers or rapists are usually people that are close to the family or to the victims, and which makes it so difficult for people to believe the victims' stories. And you can see even Miracle's mother in that season too. I think she didn't believe that Dr. Brown, I think that's his name, but Dr. Jacobs, yeah, was doing that thing to her. She was like, really? Even the father didn't know. But it happened so much that she had 12 or 13 abortions for him. That was terrible. In fact, that girl's life was I don't even want to use shattered because it's beyond shattering. And so it brings out different issues in relationships and marriage. Then when you go to the campus, you see that brother that was masturbating, that was I couldn't get himself out of that. You see how the lady was luring him into all those sexual immoralities. So all these things are issues in relationships and marriages, and that's what really attracted me to games. And even though I don't watch it episode by episode because I'm not a series or seasonal movie person, I like to watch my film and end it and conclude. So what I do is I watch all the episodes at once. So I wait for the episodes to drop to like 5, so I can watch a 13 episode seasonal movie one night. That's how much if it's interesting, I can do that. So, but generally, that's what I see about games, and it really depicts also the name games, as in the games people play in relationship and marriages, which backfires. And I'm not sure many of people who play those games are really capable or are really mature to handle the consequences of those games they play. And so these are the things I see games bring out. And for me, thumbs up to the cast and crew, because I'm sure a lot must have gone down into making that movie. So that's my view about games generally.
to be on entertainment show with PVO. That's toys behind the movies.
This is beyond entertainment.
My name is Becky Olorunpomi, but I'm popularly known as Becky G. I'm a media profession, a relationship and marriage enthusiast and counselor, an actor, a minister, a drama minister, a writer, a speaker, an author, and I wear many caps, especially if it's going to bring souls to the kingdom and serve humanity. So I did that. Now I do more of media profession. So I write, I report events. I work in a Christian organization, working in the media aspect, the media arm of the organization. And also, side by side that, I attend to relationship issues, talking to singles and youth, and generally things that affect relationships and marriages. So that's what I do for now. Yeah. And I'm also a student. So I'm running the program academically. Let me start with the Olorunpomi first. It's not Olorunpomi, Olorun, whatever you want to call it, is Olorunpomi. Is a dialectical name. I'm from Kogi State, Ayere, Ijumo local government. And so if you want to say that in Yoruba, it would be Ọlọ́run wà pẹ̀lú mi. So in other words, God is with me. So that's the meaning of my surname. So it's Ọlọ́run pọ̀ mí. That's Ọlọ́run pọ̀ mí. That's pẹ̀lú mi. That's the name. So that's about that. So don't do mistake with my name again. Then for Becky G, while in school, university to be precisely. In fact, from secondary school, people call me by, I have some pet names, pen names, they give ourselves nicknames. So I remember when I was in secondary school, I was called Ray Power because then it was Rebecca. So they call me Ray Power, then. But so when I got to school, Becky became the nickname from Rebecca, Becca, Becky. So that's how, just like you have Bukola and you have Buki. So Becky is usually from Rebecca and is from the last part of Rebecca, Becca. Some it actually started from Becca, then some started calling me Becky. And since it's those things we do when we're in schools, so I didn't mind. I liked it. So when Becky started, I used to be an athlete. I used to be a runner. Track and field, 100 and 200 meters. I did some of these also events, shot puts, discus, and some of those things. But I majored in track and field events. That was my major in school. I went for competitions, sports competitions. And so and I was so slim, I was like one. So anytime I went for training at the stadium and I was coming back to the hostel, my friends would be like, Becky girl, Becky gorgeous, Becky this, Becky that. So I sat down in the room one day with my friends and they were like, Becky good, Becky Tolala, Becky gorgeous, Becky this. So someone just said, let's just round everything to Becky G, as in the G stands for gorgeous, godly, good. Wow, that makes sense to me. So I adopted that and that became my signature. So Becky G, the G part is every good thing, godly, gorgeous, great. What again starts with G that is good, So when you call Becky G, you are actually, and also to an extent, is an affirmation and a positive declaration to me that when you call me, I am Becky gorgeous, Becky good, Becky godly, Becky great. So it affirms to me that like I'm prophesying to my life. So that's why I stuck with that name. And so far, it's been a fantastic and good name. Yeah, I think I've done, stage, maybe while at refreshers for practicals. I think, I've appeared in a movie and some movies. Yes, I was in Osha, yeah. Ologbenla, Osha.
They do, but when it became the turn of my father, a very strange thing happened.
Then I've done a few movies from other brethren. Um, then I did my major movie. I think Lost Hope. That was should be in 2014. One of the Mount Zion's, movies. So I know I've not been really active in that aspect, but the vision is yet for an appointed time. So it's still what I do, and I'm still involved in it. So once in a while, when opportunities present themselves for me to, show that part of me, I avail myself, to do that. So I've not really done much, like you say, but okay, another aspect now that I notice is in the drama ministry is a talk show aspect, which of course I think I'm more active in that. Like I said, I'm a speaker, so I think I do more of that now. But the acting part, just keep your fingers crossed and we'll get there. For the ministry, it's called Single. We call it Single Summit, and this year makes it 11 official year that we've been doing it. This year makes it 11 official years, yeah, that we've been doing it. We started in 2011, February 2011. So this year it makes it 11 years. And so far we've had tremendous testimonies from people, and the idea of that program came, it was a strong inspiration from the Holy Spirit. As at that point, I just enjoyed, talking in church, Sunday schools, asking questions. So anytime they're having marital, anything that has to do with relationship and marriage in church, then I used to attend. I just had affinity towards relationship. So while I was in the university rather, I anchored some sisters programs in school, and so I discussed that with my friends. So then I started that, unofficially until I think 2010. I started having the nudge in my spirit to start to gather singles together and do something. I waived it because I'm this kind of a person that I don't just like doing things because people are doing it. I love to be convinced so that when I get to a point where um, I meet storms and, when things are becoming difficult, I can still hang on because I didn't call myself. So if I'm not sure of a particular thing, I don't really get involved in it. But if I'm sure of something, even if everybody decides that thing, I go ahead in doing it. So when that inspiration started coming, I waived it until January 2011 when it was so strong. Like I heard God speaking into my ear and was telling me, do this, do this. So I confided in my friend Falake, and I said, look at what I've been having in my spirit. And she said, start somewhere. I said, how do I do it? I didn't even have that idea. Then I'd not even had the opportunity of, having to go for trainings and all those things. But she just said, started. So I spoke with my elder brother, who is a reverend, and together we put something together. And in 3 weeks, we started in 2011, we had our first single summit, and we had over 150 participants. That was, in fact, my parents came after and were like, how did you pull that through? And I'm like, well, that can only be God. And in fact, one of the speakers we invited confirmed to us that day that the previous year, October the previous year, that was 2010, that God has spoken to her that she was going to be speaking in February about a relationship, in a relationship program. So she didn't understand until we sent our invites to her. And for me, that confirmed that it was really God who asked me to do that. And since we've been doing it, and it's been God, the supports we've received so far has only been God. There are times I get tired and I'm like, well, I'm not doing again. I would like hear God telling me, are you sure? Are you sure you're not doing again? I said, well, God, look at this, look at that. I said, okay, so who are you looking at, me or them? And then I pick up the courage again and I move ahead. And that's how we've been here today. So that's what we do. And that has opened many opportunities for me to speak at different places and organizations and gatherings, which I would never had thought to speak on such platforms. So for the books, I have written 2 books, um, Being Singles, Challenges and Way Out was my first book. And that book is a testimony because I remember I had it in mind, like God, Holy Spirit has been nudging me also to come out with that book, but my usual self, if I'm not sure. So I was taking my time. So I remember, I think it was in 2014, we went for this refresher course on Zion Institute. And Evangelist Mike Bamloy was encouraging people to start, doing things that Holy Spirit laid in their hearts. And, as much as it was a drama ministers conference or, schooling, if I can use that word. So he was just walking around, calling people's name, asking them, that's kids God has put in your heart, go and do it. Brother A, that's short drama God has put in your hands, go and do it. So he was calling people and he just called my name, Sister Becky, that book God has put in your heart, go and write it. And that was like, wow. Okay, so that was in November 2014, I think. And so it confirmed to me again that, okay, so why did he get to me? And he didn't mention drama, he didn't mention anything, it was just book. And so that got me thinking and got me back into my, my study room to start praying. So I started, and gradually, the following year, which was I think 2015 thereabout, my first book came out on Amazon, Kindle, and Okada Books, okadabooks.com. So that's how I wrote my first book. So the second book, it was in 2018 December. I was in church, crossing over service. And as my pastor was about rounding up to say we should pray to enter into the new year, I heard in my spirit, you are going to write letters to the singles in 2019. I quickly jotted it down and I prayed. And so that was why in 2019, I started writing their singles letter every Monday throughout 2019. And, people asked me, how do you get those things? I'm like, I don't know. Sometimes I could just sit down, something just come to my mind, and I'll just pen them down. Sometimes on Sunday, I'm at the salon, relaxing my hair under the dryer, and the inspiration will just come. I pick my phone, type it down, I get home, write it. But every Monday, 52 weeks of 2019, we never lacked bringing out so a letter. So, people were commenting and were talking, Becky, go on YouTube, Becky did this, Becky did that. And I was actually considering some of these options, which I had planned to continue, but I heard in October 2019, the Holy Spirit told me that letter is going to end in December 2019. I'm like, okay, whatever you want me to do, I'll do. So 2019 December, when the last letter dropped, I like, God, so what's next? I thought I was going to open a YouTube channel and start the video aspect of the letter. And same year, 2019 December, God told me, put those letters in a book. And I'm like, okay. And so that was why in 2020, April, in fact, the speed of that one was even surprising. I didn't even expect that. And so that was how the second book, Dear Singles, a compilation of letters to singles, came out. And that one also is also on Amazon Kindle, okadabooks.com, and the physical, there's an hard copy to that, which is Bible Wonderland stores, or when you need it, you can call, then we dispatch to you. So that's how about those two. So it's one of the things I love about games because it brought out reality of some of these things. I would have been surprised if Miracle had found it so easy to forgive Dr. Jacobs. It would have been, you see that she had to go for counseling, and to an extent, I can call it therapy also. So it's not until you go see a scientific therapist before. So some of these things, and the professional Christian therapists, counselors, and I kid you not, we need them in the body of Christ because people are going through a lot and the body of Christ. So we need some of these things. So I love that portrayal in games, the truth is that it is very difficult to forgive uh, depending on what hurt had been done to you and depending on your temperament. So for a sanguine, you can say, okay, yeah, it's gone because their temperament is usually they don't store things up, they don't keep things. But if you're offended, a melancholy or a choleric, even a choleric might even still be better, might just take some time after much thinking to move on. They might even have it in their mind, but you won't see it. But a melancholy, they store up things, they are moody. Naturally, that's their temperament. So a melancholy can give you details of an event of 20 years ago, as in detail by detail. The time, the environment, things that happened, as in they bring you back like it was happening. And if you are a sanguine that did those things to them, you're forgotten. And you're like, are you sure I did those things you mentioned? I'm like, you did them. So to such a person, it might be very difficult to forgive. But like you said, PVO, it is the right thing to do. And you don't just slash or splash on people's faces. If you don't forgive, God will not forgive you. Yes, I know. But you don't, it's like a psychological issue. When someone is sexually abused and it continued to some extent, it's like you program something into someone's head and for a very long time, and you just wake up and you say they should remove it. That's what you're saying. Is they might even try to do that, but it's difficult for them because you don't understand how they think. So a child that has been abused sexually, either boy or girl, like they have a knot that's been losing in their head, and until that knot is replaced or is tightened again, you don't expect them to fix that knot themselves. That's just a simpler way I can explain it. Is beyond that because it's like a part of them is broken or even dead. So you can't ask a dead person to forgive. They're dead. So for me, yeah, I think it takes the encountering of God, which we saw in miracle, for someone to be able to, even at that, you still need, counseling, being talked to, therapy, and they will talk, they will rant, they will rage, they are expressing themselves, they are pouring out what they've stored up in their heart. So I love that counseling in games played by PMH. I love that role because she did it well. You don't jump into just, you just have to do it. Listen to them and let them express themselves, and you come, subtly, mildly, in a way that they can relate with. But forgiveness is easy. So I always say something that, revenge is sweet, but forgiveness is sweeter. But it is not something that some people can jump into. It's not something that is so easy for some people to jump into. So they might need gradual, tutelage or counseling, if I can use that word, with prayers, yeah, before they get to that point where they forgive. But actually, even normal offenses gone, it's not even easy to forgive. But just let me just, but there's some hurt that cuts through your spirit. I read something in the book of, I think, Proverbs in the Bible. And it says, when the body is sick, it can be taken care of, but when the spirit is broken, who can heal that spirit? God. You are a spirit with a soul in a body. So if your body is even hurt, you can, okay, but if your spirit is broken, that spirit has to be healed before you can be talking physically or, biologically. So if that spirit is not healed, it might be difficult. And that what happened to Miracle is a terrible thing. A child, as I can't even remember how old she was when that man started abusing her, until she got to university, and the man was still trailing her, going to meet her in the school. So it was a process, a long process of abuse, and she had nobody to help. Her parents were not there. Nobody seems to understand her. And a child from whatever age, maybe 6, 7, went through that till she got to university. And they just come in one day and say, forgive and forget. Come on, it's not going to be easy because the processes of destruction was long. So it might take, no, might not be that long, equating the two, but at least it will take time for them to come to that senses of, okay, I need to forgive this person, see this person like he just did mistake, and and with God's grace, we can get there, yeah, but it's not easy. Generally, stalking is like an obsession towards someone else, You are obsessed to have them. And in fact, you have all it played up in your head. You have done everything in your head. You already even have them in your head. So even without you bringing their consent into the relationship, whatever relationship, you already like they are yours. So it's like an obsession. So it can go in different ways, but that's just a simple term I can use for it. It's bad and it could be dangerous. And that was why when I saw Brother Chukwudi, I'm like, this brother better be careful though. Because Chukwudi was a good character from the onset. So when he was coming, I'm like, what's this man doing now? But so that's it about stalking. So is an obsession someone has towards another person, and they play it out. And such obsession can be choking. It can start initially as love, care, all those things, but along the line you begin to see some attitudes, some expressions, some behaviors that will now make you think that, is this really what they say they want? Is this really what they claim to have for me? Whether love or it could be, platonic. Some people, once they have a friend, they want that friend all to themselves. They don't want the person to have another friend or other friends, and they want to monitor their lives. What are you doing? Where are you? This, that. So if that other person goes to do something without first informing them, they get angry. You didn't tell me. That means you don't love me. So some of these things are, the attributes of stalking, which makes it bad. A man sees a girl, and because he's a Brachukudi, so I'm going to be talking male to female. So it can happen female to male also. So a brother sees a sister and loves her, would like to marry her, and you didn't even, okay, you claim God told you, you didn't even speak to your head. So let's even assume you are spiritually mature to handle such thing. You have not even spoken to her to even know her mind. It takes two to tango, for crying out loud. You can do salsa alone, you can do dance alone, but when you want to do a tango dance, it takes two to do a tango dance. So it takes two to tango. So you can't just be assuming in your head you have toasted her, she has agreed. So much you are even seeing yourself giving other people encouragement and all those stuff. And that is what plays on in the head of a stalker or an obsessed person. So when I saw that Brachokud, I'm like, wow, this is wrong. So initially, the first thing that occurred to me was he told the fellowship members that Sister Larry, because I think a sister accused him or challenged him that they've seen the way he has been uploading Sister Larry's picture on his status, and I tell us what is going on, bro. And he said, yeah, something is going on. That was wrong, as in all shades of wrong. So I first saw that. So when Sister Larry was spoken to, and she was shocked that we are not a thing, we are not an item, and it seems as if she was lying to the other lady. And that is what can make you look like. So I felt, no, this guy didn't do it rightly. And then he started stalking, taking her pictures. Those steps are wrong. And that was when, I said, this guy is a stalker. And so because I've had experiences, but I think I'm going to talk about one. And so, they come like that, you won't know. So there was this, is even a pastor. So I was even in a mini estate then, so I would go to my house and I would see him, oh, sister, God bless you. Oh, God bless you. Good evening, sir. I go into my estate. And so one day we were I was coming and he met me during the election period. Who are you voting for? And I'm like, I know who I'm voting for, so you don't need to ask me. So from there, we got engaged and we were talking. And oh, I'm pastor of so church. Oh, that's nice. Oh, okay. So I work here. I come here sometimes. Long short, we exchange numbers, and that was the beginning. This guy didn't have any time not to call. Sometimes I wake up as early as 4, probably to get on with my day, and by the time I check my phone, I see missed calls. I'm like, who doesn't sleep at 2 a.m.? So why should it be me you are calling at 2 a.m.? Sometimes it was bad one evening. I think around 11:30, I had not slept, so I had a roommate and she had visitors, friends. So we were talking, gisting, and so he called. And because I was awake, I picked his call and we were talking. And like, I'm hearing noises. I said, I'm in my house and I have visitors. And say, okay, tell them to reduce the volume of the TV set. It's making noise, disturbing me. I'm like, okay. Okay, I told my friend, I said, ladies, please help me reduce the. I didn't still know. Courtesy and etiquette, phone etiquette. So I still told them to reduce the volume of the. And then it started. Please, can you switch off that TV? And I'm like, bros, people are watching TV and they're discussing, you know. So I can't ask them to switch off the TV. It's not the story. I can hear what you're saying clearly, and I'm sure you can hear me. Can we continue? And it's like, and I'm like, excuse me, okay, can I go and sleep? I think maybe you don't want to discuss. And what was he saying? How to be an effective pastor's wife. And I'm like, okay, 11:30 to 12, this issue. So I didn't even know how that ended. And then, anytime I would see him on the road, like he was waiting for me to come back, I would just greet him and walk in. And one day, but I noticed everywhere, if I turn and I saw this guy, I said, okay, everybody could be walking, and it never occurred to me he was talking. Until one day in my office, so this guy had stalked me so much to my office. He knew my office address. He knew my office because we have different offices, in a company. He knew the exact office I was in. So this day I was having a meeting with my colleagues and some editors in the room. And this guy walked in, walked in. So while he was talking to my colleague that faced the door, please, I'm looking for Sister Becky. So that was he trying to get what he was trying to say. So he looked at the corner and he saw me. And he abandoned everyone and he just walked straight to where I was. And he said, this book is for you. I was shocked. I'm like, what are you doing here? I didn't give you any invitation, nothing. I said, I don't want. And then he said, you have to take it because your name has been engraven on it. And the title of the book was How to Be an Effective Minister's Wife by a popular writer. I don't want to mention the person's name. And I was like, what? What is this? So this guy in his head had seen me as his wife and he wants to bring me up to be an effective pastor's wife. And I'm like, bro. So one day I said, bro, you have sisters in your church. Go marry them. I'm not interested. And he was like, no, you have to be my wife. And he brought that book, How to Be an Effective Minister's Wife. And I'm like, what is this? I said, I don't want. I almost created a saying. So, but my colleagues were like, Becky, calm down. So he walked out of the office. He didn't even, so calm. And my boss was like, wow. Becky, what that guy just did to you was stalking. That was when it dawned on me that, okay. And he said, it could be dangerous because if he was here to harm you, that was how you would have just walked into our midst and harm you. I think you should report this guy. Okay, so, people started talking, giving advices. At that point, I began to get scared. I'm like, so if this guy could know my office, that means he knows the exact room I live in that estate. That means he knows many things about me, which I didn't give him this information except from the number I gave. So apparently he had, all those things were true. So they told the chief security officer of my company to monitor the guy, not to allow him again in. I went to the office. I used to see him in that my mini estate to tell them that please, this guy is beginning to stalk me and I don't like it. They should please help me warn him. And even that was another story entirely. I don't want to go into that. So in the evening, so by the time I was done, I went back to my house and I was gisting my roommate, see what happened today. Oh." As they were talking, this guy just came to my door and was knocking. I was so scared, as in, it was like an armed robber was knocking on your door. And I couldn't go out to meet him because at that point I felt like this guy could harm me. So it was my roommate. We didn't even open the door because the door was already bolted. So it was my roommate that was talking to him that, who are you? He mentioned his name. What do you want? Becky came to report me in my office, so I also came to report her. Really? Okay, so what did she do? I want to tell you the side of my story. That one said, I'm not interested. Please stop stalking her. She doesn't want to marry you. She's not interested. You've not even toasted her. She's not your wife. Please move away from us. No, I'm not leaving. I'm going to be here. Come outside and come and listen to me. That one said, I will call police on you now if you don't leave here. And I think somehow, we didn't open the door. He left. I couldn't go out that day, that night, till the following morning because I was so scared to go out. So while I was leaving the estate gate, I met the security guys and I went to meet them that, why did you guys give that guy my house number? And they said he told them that I was his sister, that is my brother, and he wanted to come and see me. And so they felt, okay, since they've seen me and him talking, a few number of times, they've seen us, so they felt, I said, I don't know him. It was just so, I just out of courtesy that I gave him those exchange, those, pleasantries, and they're like, they're sorry, they didn't know. I said, please, you guys should be careful. You should have asked me before, so we sorted that out. This guy stalked me to church. And it became a case of like, I will walk, I will be seeing him. One day in the church, if you know me, you know that sometimes I can spark also. So as I was going, I saw him and I'm like, if I see you near me again, I will escalate it, I will shout on you, and the mob will gather you. So stop following me. I blocked him everywhere. This guy will use an unknown number to call me. I'm like, what did I put myself into? And it could be bad. So depending on what kind of phase of stalking, some people can just be like a harmless stalking where they just want you to be their spouse. They've done everything in their head. They are so obsessed with you that they have played the image in their head, how you and them will be wearing and co, will be doing things together. And because it's a Christian setting, you will not know. You will just think is love, is love, is love, is love. Oh, and because it's Christians, you might be thinking, yeah, if he says God told him that you are his wife, or God told her that you are her husband, why not just go and pray about it? I'm like, okay, are you guys serious here? You guys don't see something wrong. So we have stalkers, around us. They are in church. They could be good, but maybe, and that is why I love that angle games put to it, where one of the committees suggested they go for a psychological or a mental test somehow.
I think this is a psychological case. I think we need a psychiatric evaluation.
That's a bit of a stretch.
There could be an underlying pattern that is behind this adamant attachment. I just think it's best for us to pursue all our options as much as possible. We'll counsel him. We'll instruct him in the word. But we should also investigate this clinically.
I love that because sometimes it's not normal. Yeah, it could be psychological. So they might need to go for those tests and, it might somehow, but I think they need it because it will help so that you be able to tame whatever variant of, stalking issue they have so that you can help them work on it and overcome it. But when I said, I'm like, Rashakudi should not let my hand touch him because because as I was saying that, I remember what happened to me, and I knew what Aleri was facing, and I knew how it could be. Even though she went a bit far by calling the soldier, but you will want to excuse her for the confusion.
Is it true that she told you time and time again that you should let her be?
Yes, sir.
And IBK also advised you to leave her?
Yes, sir.
You see, the problem here is not even that your emotions led you. The problem here is that you are too arrogant to listen to anyone or take counsel.
But did God lie to me?
Chukudi, you see, love in God's way is very patient, is kind. And you see, God cannot lead you to bug a sister up to the point that you consider and become a nuisance to her. I kept asking you if there was something we needed to talk about. Why did you keep all this from me?
I felt the time wasn't right.
Or you were afraid that PJ here would call you to order?
I didn't want to lose her.
You never had her.
if if I didn't have people around that suggested to me, maybe I don't know what I would have done. So someone in that state, and probably someone who had not heard or known such situation or issues before, they might not really know how to handle it. So she just felt they should just threaten him to back off her back, but she didn't know a soldier was going to do that to him. And of course, when you report to a soldier, what do you expect? So I would have thought she would have gone to the president of the fellowship or a sisters coordinator and report to them. That was what I would have thought she would do. But well, thank God for the way it turned out. Thank God they didn't kill Rachukudi. He's still alive, and I'm sure he will learn from it and probably understand what is wrong with him and change. And so that's why I love games, the way everything, it's just so real, as in what happens in the real world there. So that's what I feel about Barachukudi. And I love the way PJ handled it. Yeah, I love the way he handled it. PJ is just a gentle pastor. It should have been one small harshness for just there. But I love the way he handled it, Sha. It's still okay. So PJ, kudos to you. Everybody should have a bit of what should I use now? Information about some of these things, so that when you are beginning to see some symptoms, you be able to think, okay, could this be what I'm thinking? And probably you can check it and probably confide in someone you trust. So in that case of when somebody begins to stalk you, like the example when people are beginning to give you information of how is sharing your pictures, this is not even a number of appreciating you. There are people when maybe on their birthdays, we post their pictures, appreciate them. But this is so much that it blocked her from seeing a status, but others were seeing it. And they were coming to tell her that, I just say, so since she was getting all those feedbacks from fellowship members, and she had even confronted him once, twice, and his response, you will still come back to your senses. The lost sheep, talking about the lost sheep, some of these things should give you some hints. And even if it's not even a case of stalking, they are not normal. And it could just be, he doesn't know how to handle such cases. At that point, you shouldn't handle it on your own. I think at that point, you need to talk to someone, like a fellowship leader, since they are in the fellowship, or if it's a company, maybe someone, a manager or someone you respect. If it's depending, you could talk to a mentor, you talk to someone that can probably say, okay, this is it, and probably call the person to order. And if after calling the person to order, they still continue and saying some things like, I know, sir, you are going to be my wife. Okay, so I have a case of someone, I don't want to marry you. I have someone I want to do this. And I said, don't worry, I don't care. You just see yourself in my house. You just found yourself in my house and you become my missus. I blocked him straight away. I don't want to go into that route of, I've given him that long rope, like, I'm serious, I'm not joking. But everything I say, that is why you are going to be my wife. We'll have 2 children. The boy will look like me, the girl will look like you. And there's nothing like you have not consented to their proposal or whatever they say they are doing, they want to do with you, and they're saying those things, then you should be sensitive that is no longer normal. Because before you get to the extent of you even talking about having a family, you should have been involved in that relationship. So they begin to say, you are my husband, whether you like it or not. And you are convinced that that's not what you want, or probably you have even prayed and you're not convinced God is leading you to into that relationship. Then you should be sensitive to know that something else is wrong and report them. And the way to handle, like I said, maybe Aleri went too far. Yeah, she went far, calling a soldier without, and none of them even involved their fellowship, pastors or president. So I would have expected Aleri to go to, I don't know if she had access to PJ, their youth pastor. I would have, or some of the committees that we later saw when they were handling that situation, I would have expected her to at least to have gone to one of them and probably tell them if they don't talk to him, she would then have to take it personally. And whatever she does, nobody should blame her. So I feel people, I see the two of them being naive of how to do the thing. But of course, Chukwudi's obsession is very clear. It's not somebody not knowing how to handle relationship. And the friend told, in fact, it was when PJ was asking him, is there something you want to tell me? Is there a sister? It was, when it's blossom, when it's, I'm like, what's wrong with this? So in a nutshell, be sensitive to some of these things. When there are some things they will begin to say. I've seen some movies. I've heard some stalkers. They have access to your house when you are not there. They do stuff for you. They come into the house. I've seen a movie where a lady now stalking on a married man. They locked their house. She found a way of getting in. She will go to the man's wardrobe, remove his shirts, cuddle herself up in his shirts, perceiving the scent of the perfume of the guy, the odor of the guy. I'm like, this, in fact, is a sickness that needs to be medically attended to. So you can get to that point, but I'm not sure Chukwudi's own is up to that point because it has not been coming to the house. So that's why I say it depends on the variance of that thing. So, but at the starting point, just begin to watch. They're stalking you. You turn here, you see them. You turn there, you see them. And the seeing them is not like they are coming out to say, hey, hi, gisting. They're just like your shadow. You turn here, you see them. You turn again, you don't see them again. That's stalking. They are buying you unnecessary gifts, writing to my dearest when you have not given them any, consent. They are doing some weird things, which initially might seem maybe they love you, but at a point, if you two are not selfish and you are not carried away by those things, you should be sensitive to know that, this is no longer normal. So I think that's the way to handle it, and that's the way to identify, and then speaking to someone at least close who is not just your friend, probably like an authority over you to help you wade in before you now know if you now have to go to the police, or handle it whichever way you want to handle it. So that's that. If the stalker is not in your circle, like Brachukudi and Larry, like it's not a Christian setting, you're just a single lady in a corporate world and someone is stalking you, the first thing I think you should do is talk to your boss. Just let someone be involved in it, so that at least you'll be guided in something. Because at some point, if you are in a confused state, you might not know what to do, but you might still have to get to the police to, officially lay the complaint, because you don't know what level of stalking or what level of obsession that person has. It could be a radical one. It could be, an infiltration one. It could, that could generate into harming people around you, because people can be so obsessed about people that they harm. If it's a love, maybe a guy is obsessed with a lady or a lady obsessed with a guy, they can harm their fiancés or spouses so as to get them. So you don't want that to happen. So you might still have to inform the police officially so that they can wade in and help. At the same time, I think you should have a boss, someone that you can respect their opinion, and but you need to report it because stalking is bad. It's not good. So depending on, so you need to report it. You need to report it. But with guidance, they can help you how to. And I'm sure if Valerie had spoken to someone, they like maybe like PJ, they might have handled it without letting the soldier involved. So before you get to that point of involving, you might still need to involve, depending on the case. So before you get to that point, just take it, talk to someone that can talk to the person. If you don't have anybody to do that, get your boss to be involved in it so that whatever step you are taking, they are carried along. Then you need to report to the police to stop that person. And if the person still insists on not stopping, then you can do Sister Larry's style. I'm not sure you can cancel a stalker if you are the stalky, if I can use that word. If you are the person being stalked now, I don't think you can. I don't think you can advise a stalker. It's like saying you want to advise someone that is not mentally okay. They won't listen to you because it's already a mindset. So what I think you can do is talk to someone around them also because people around them may not also know what is wrong with them. But when you inform people around them, they also will be aware of it and they will know how to handle it. And if it's a mental case, you might even suggest to them that please, can you take into a psychological test so that they can know if it's a medical condition, they can help him talk about it, handle it. So you can do that, talk to people around them. If it's not in your environment, like a fellowship or like a church, if it's a normal society, go and report straight. And please make sure you are firm in your decision to make sure that they are far from you. That decisions, I will leave it to whatever council, the police or the official people your reports to give you. I'm not going to give you that counsel because it varies the counseling. But if it's a Christian organization, environment, you can talk to the leader of that community so that they can handle. And if the person still continues, you go back to them and they tell them that you have told them this guy still continues. Now, whatever you do to him will not be against you. Of course, just make sure if if they're harmful, then trust me, you also need to be firm. Except, okay, you want to die. If not that, you need to be firm. It's like a madman coming to meet you to come and attack you. What will you do? So you need to be firm on how to do that. But I think basically you can talk to those around you. Maybe if you also know their places of work or where they fellowship, go to their leaders. Don't keep quiet about it. Don't handle it alone. Expose them. Yeah, I think that's the word. Expose them. Don't keep it and be saying, as many people that you know that know them, tell them, this guy is doing this to me, this babe is doing it to me. You guys talk to him, you guys talk to her, talk to their leaders, talk to their bosses, if you know people that you know around them, talk to them. I'm sorry, but if you need to go to the social media and find people you can talk to, talk to them. I don't want to say call them out, but just make sure you are also drastic about your decision because it can be harmful. It can be harmful. I hope it doesn't get that. It doesn't get to that extent. But if you have been stalked before, you understand that if you don't take steps, they will stop. They will not stop. So thank God for Chukwudi. At least he subjected himself to evaluation and it was helped. I believe he's helped. So I also would like a case where Aleri also has a mentor that shows her how to handle such relationship proposal from a supposed Chukwudi. So it will be balanced so that you will know what to expect. Yeah, there's a way to go about proposing, and there's a way to go about consenting, and there's a way to go about even the relationship, the courtship, and everything. And that is why for Christians, it's not the same way with the world. So if you want to do it the godly way, then follow the steps, and you'll be happy for it. So I think that's what you can do. Yes, my name is Becky G, and I want to tell you, keep watching Beyond Entertainment Show with PVO, Bent Show.
More than entertainment, beyond the applause of men, we seek for something valuable, and that is the soul of man, yeah. And that is the soul of man. Men and women, so down for God. And this is beyond entertainment. And this is beyond entertainment. Beyond entertainment.
Keep watching Beyond Entertainment Show with PVO.